Hello and welcome to another video. So in the last video you saw the state of the solar panel. So today I'm going to start respraying it. So first things I've got to do is to get it off the roof. I've had to label up the wires that come from the solar panel because they are both black wires, so I have no idea which is positive and negative. You don't want to get it the wrong way around. So I just put a little bit of masking tape on there and that'll let me know. And I've got to take the wires out from behind that bit of trim that I put them in. Just disconnect everything and I'll be sorted. But before I do that, I've cut this piece of cardboard because I'm going to put this on top of the solar panel and stick it on there, because if you don't do this, the solar panel is still putting out a charge. It's a nice sunny day, and when I take the wires out, there is a chance that they could arc and cause all sorts of trouble. So cover up the solar panel and then I can disconnect the wires. So this is a pretty simple thing, just disconnect them from the charge controller. And as an extra safety precaution, I'm actually going to cover the ends of the wires as well, because I don't want them touching anything, even when because at some point I am going to remove that cardboard, so they will be live again at that point, so it's best to keep them nicely covered up. So I take all the wires out from that I've tucked behind that trim panel, and just a case of removing everything. I can tell you it's a lot easier to take them out than it is to get them in. So yeah, I'll have fun later on when I put it all back together. I take them clips out with my bare hands. No, I don't use a screwdriver. And I pull the wires out from the holes. These are the holes I drilled. It's really fiddly. It's in a completely awkward position. I'm going to sort that when I put it back together. And I just take the bolts out and take it off the roof. And there we have it. A van without a solar panel, and the roof looks a bit filthy. I'll have to sort that out later. So here it is, the solar panel, and I'm ready to go. I've picked a really nice day, so yeah, it's going to be perfect for spraying. A bit windy actually, but actually it's lovely and warm, so it'll be perfect. But first things first, it needs a really good clean. It's absolutely filthy from being on the van all that time. So this gives me a chance to sort of look at the damage and see what I've got to do, and it's just horrific. Look at it, it's totally peeled. As I said in the old video, I think it's because of the primer mainly, but I'm going to go all out on this. So I'm going to throw everything at this one. So the first thing I need to do is to get the old paint off. So I got some of this paint and varnish remover, and I've got a really lightweight cup, which is ideal for the windy day. Some gloves, and there goes the cup. Yeah, well, and back again. Yeah, well, we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, gloves on, and no idea how good this one is. The cup's really trying to go for it. And this is me struggling with the child lock on the paint remover. Yeah, so I really struggle with this. So I'll go off and ask an adult to take that off for me. And here we go. Still trusting the wind on that cup. So I didn't actually have a paintbrush to put this on with, so I just did it with a bit of kitchen roll, just slathered it all over the paintwork. And yeah, you've got to go on pretty thick, and hopefully that will remove it. So I scrape a bit off with a stick. This isn't my final method, but it's just checking to see how it's going. And it's starting to remove itself, but I decided to use a bit of wire wool because it's just slightly abrasive and it won't scratch the aluminium at all. So this has actually brought it off quite nicely actually, because it's quite a fiddly piece of aluminium. There's lots of ridges and things, so the wire wool was quite good because it got right into the crevices. And now a fresh bit of wire wool, and it's only like a really light bit of paint that's on there now. And this really does just fetch it off quite nicely. Yeah, it's a lot easier to put paint on than it is to remove it, but there we go. So I go all the way around with the wire wool, And then I actually go around for the really stubborn parts, because there was a few bits of paint that just would not come off, and I did that with a bit of light sandpaper. I think it was about 120 grit, and that removed the rest of it pretty well. So I'm just professionally removing everything, and then I'll wipe everything down with alcohol wipes. So I'm just using surgical spirit, and this is just to make sure the surface is nicely prepped, ready for the first bit of spraying. But before I spray, obviously I have got to cover the panel, because I don't want to spray the actual panel itself, otherwise it'll render it completely useless. So never miss this step out. So everything is masked off really nicely, so I think I'm ready to get on with the spraying. So the first thing I'm going to use is the etch primer, as I mentioned in the other video. So this is where I probably started off completely wrong, is by not using an etch primer. I just used a normal primer. But this acidizes the surface. It says it's perfect for aluminium, so the primer just sticks to aluminium really well. So hopefully this is going to be the ticket. So I'm doing obviously in nice light coats. I think I put 2 coats of the undercoat on. And it looks pretty good. The finish is looking very nice. It looks nice and smooth. So I'm happy with that. That looks great. That's a good base coat to go on there. So obviously I've got to let everything dry. And the next thing to go on is this. I've decided to use the stone chip paint because it's going on top of the van. It got obviously a lot of weather on it, so that's what I've gone for. I quite like the finish that I got from this when I was using it on the sills. So yeah, I'm just going with the stone chip. It's super tough paint. So that's what I mean. I'm going to throw absolutely everything at this thing because I don't want it to turn into that state that it was before. So we'll see how this goes. As before, got to leave it to dry, and then I do a second coat. Yeah, I got to leave that to dry, but yeah, it's looking pretty nice already. I think that's quite a nice finish just off that. So the final thing to put on is a matte lacquer. I didn't do a lacquer at all, and this is obviously the third level of protection here. Do a couple of coats of this and leave it to dry again, and eventually, yeah, it's looking really nice. It feels really nice. I do like the matte lacquer. I've never used this before, so yeah, I think the finish is perfect. Exactly what I'm looking for. Feels nice and wipeable, but yeah, it doesn't look too glossy, so that is absolutely perfect. So it is time to unwrap the panel now. It's all dried and everything. So that is looking pretty sharp. I think that is good. So I'm happy with how the panel's turned out. So now it's time to whack it back on the van. First thing, let's clean that mucky roof. So this is where I had the cables coming in before. I just drilled 2 holes through this bit. This is still inside of the pop top, so it doesn't affect any kind of water coming in here. But it's a real pain. As you can see, there's quite a big distance to there, and it's really hard to get your arm in to actually poke it through these holes. So I'm going to give up with that one, and I'm going to move the holes to over here. Actually, I think I've changed my mind. I think I'm going to go just more here, because then it can come down from the solar panel that way and then just go straight into there. But I can get my arm into there really easy rather than going this side because there's too might get trapped in the mechanism there, so I think it's safer if I do it down here actually. So what's we're going to do, drill some holes there. So it is time to drill some holes, and I've got to be really careful here that I don't go through the top of the roof. Got to clean up all my mess. I should have put a bit of paper down there really, shouldn't I? So I route the wires just straight under the seal there and straight into the van. So that was so much easier. That took me literally just seconds to do that. So I tied up all the cables with some cable ties. And just to keep everything in place, I do put back the clip to hold it down with as well, just to give it some extra stability there. Now it's time for the fiddly bit to actually poke the wires back through that piece of trim, just trying to keep it neat. I didn't want it on the outside, so I've got a bit of curtain, that flexible curtain rod, which I actually used to clear that little drain hole at the front of the van. So I'm using that. Poke down, and then you can just use that to guide the wires through. It's a really tight fit back there. So they just simply feed through. Wasn't simple. So I've kind of like pulled them through now. And that's looking lovely and neat back there. So I try and tuck the wires away as best as I can and wire it back up into the solar charge controller, because I marked them up before I took them off. It was a really simple job. Making sure the seatbelt still works. It doesn't interfere with that at all, which is good. So that's basically it. It's all up and running again. So I think it's time to look at the final shots and see how it looks. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Cheers.